How is anyone ever going to trust the outcome of a game again? A direct quote from TCU head football coach Sonny Dykes yesterday in the aftermath of the news that Brendan Sorsby's injunction has been granted by a Lubbock County judge, and at least as things stand right now, it is June the 9th. I think a lot of things are going to change between now and the actual college football season, but as things stand right now, would be eligible to play Week 3 for the Texas Tech Red Raiders come this college football season. A Big 12 athletic director told ESPN, this is directly from their ESPN.com story, reacting to the reactions that have gone rampant across college football yesterday. A Big 12 athletic director, no name attached to this one, said that they are disgusted by this and, quote unquote, we officially lost our soul. Now, that comment kind of presupposes the college football had a soul to begin with.
Yeah. A bit dramatic.
But there's a point there.
A bit dramatic.
Yes. All college football is drama.
That's
it's
true.
all it's ever been. This is just the latest
we
chapter.
know drama.
Are they getting
The SEC, it just means more. Like, whatever. This one is bigger than probably any other college football debate that has raged on over the course of the last 30 years, at least of my sports consciousness, which basically lasts about that long. This is bigger. This matters more. This means more than anything that we've probably come across in college football. I do not think we are remotely done. I know everybody's up in arms right now that this is the way that things have gone with this injunction, and deservedly so. I think we're probably multiple legal steps away from a conclusion here, and I think we are also multiple personal reactions, league reactions, college football reactions away from actually the dust settling with this thing.
But I think the question is, what's the breaking point for Tech? Right? Like, at what point do you keep pushing this ball up the hill before you sit there and realize it isn't worth the effort? Whether it's talking with other fan bases to try and keep these games on the schedule, which is a real fear now, not just in football, but across sports, because George is already talking about not scheduling them at all in anything. And if that proliferates, how is that sustainable? The other side of it is just the money of it, which we understand that Sorsby's got a contract, and if he's eligible to play, he's due. But the other side of it is Tech's been paying all kinds of money across sports, and granted, they're doing what the system is allowing them to do, right? They're taking advantage of that part of the process. But at what point do you look at this and sit there and say, we've got enough money to pay someone else to come in and be the starter anyway? Who is going to stand up on that side of front that's going to change things to me? And will enough public pressure, either in the Big 12 or in college football at large, challenge that?
Do they have enough money to go do that? Sure. But who are you going to go get at this point in the middle of June? Like, that person's not out there to be had anymore. We're past that point. Nobody's going to transfer out of their school now to go to Texas Tech and
How big's the paycheck?
It just, I don't think that's realistic at this point. They've already had spring practice everywhere. They're already done with spring practice at this point. I don't think that part's realistic. But I do think I will be surprised if we all know Joey McGuire. We have gotten to know him through the years that he was here in North Texas. Our Paul Melton knows him as well as anybody from covering him for years during his time at Cedar Hill. This is a stand-up guy. I don't know Kirby Hokut personally, but I know that he's had a lot of success in collegiate athletics through an extended period of time. I don't know him one way or the other to speak to his character, but the success that he's had and the people that he's worked with would lead me to believe that there's probably something there. I would be surprised if we get to a point where, if we don't get to a point where one of them, both of them, don't step in and say, okay, even though a judge may say he can, doesn't mean that he should, doesn't mean that he actually will, because even if the judge says the NCAA can't levy a punishment, the judge and this injunction does not have purview over Joey McGuire's allotment of playing time. And if Joey McGuire says, okay, he may be eligible, but he's going to sit over there because we're not actually going to do this, that feels plausible to me because the reaction,
But that's just it.
But the
It's like-
reaction is just reaction, right? The only thing that can actually dictate change here is money. Because money is, let's just face it, money is the root of all of this. That's why teams schedule some of the big dogs to make money. It's why teams pay quarterbacks millions of dollars to come play for them so they can go win championships and make more money.
It's why he gambled on games.
It's why he gambled on games and random sports. It all comes back to money. Money will apply.
Romanian soccer, of all things, or one of the things that was on the list.
And I just want to make sure we are not whenever we say that, that's in addition to betting on his own team. That's not like he's just finding these random leagues overseas. It's
Like darts.
exactly. Yes.
I did dig deeper on all of that to get a little bit more granular on the nitty-gritty of what did he actually bet on, because there is so much misinformation out there about all of this that would lead you to believe that he was betting on his own games at Indiana, that he was betting on his own games at Cincinnati, that he was betting on all these, that the judge involved that did this was a Texas Tech alum. All of the misinformation that is out there is rampant. The actual details, according to an ESPN story, and this ESPN story from a couple of weeks ago, this is from May 29th, so only, 10, 11 days ago, all of the details, everything we know about what he bet on, is information that was volunteered by Sorsby and his legal team in these legal proceedings, in this court case. And the details relative to his wagers around his own team are only in 2022 and 2023 when he was at Indiana. And he maintains that he did not bet on any games that he played in. There are two bets
Still
that
insider
are
information. I mean,
right. Understood.
I understand that. But the other context on this is because he's volunteering this. He's volunteering it because he got caught. He didn't just open up and sit there and say, "I have a problem, guys.
No question.
I need help."
Right. He got
the
flagged.
authorities found him.
Yes.
And then he came forward and was like, "How can I get ahead of the story?" That's the other side of
Or
it.
he's trying to explain that the circumstances of which he did. Didn't he do it because he was hurt and wanted to feel closer?
He did say
to
it
the
wasn't so much
program?
that he was hurt, he just wasn't playing yet. He redshirted during the 2022 season, was a scout team quarterback. Didn't compete in games. I'm reading directly now from this ESPN.com story. He didn't compete in games during the period in which he made bets on the Hoosiers. The wagers stopped 2 weeks before he made his debut against Penn State on November 5th of 2022.
Can I say something bad? I don't have any problem with that. I really don't. You're not even playing. Who cares?
He has no ability to impact the game.
Right.
From what he admitted to.
Yeah,
Is
exactly.
there stuff that he hasn't admitted
Also-
to because
also-
it would be impactful.
And again, if he has knowledge at all,
There's
right?
a lot of stuff that he admitted to. There's a lot of stuff on this list that he admitted to.
But okay, take the actual point minus out of it. Should we ban insider trading? He has knowledge of being on the team. There are other
Should we
ways
ban
to.
Polymarket?
Yes, absolutely, we should.
I agree. We should.
So, but that's the point. But that's the point.
Yes.
If he has insider information or anything on those lines, because he knows, hey, this might be a closer game next point. There are 1,000 reasons why he's making money on that, and there are 1,000 other ways to feel closer than the team than put money on or gamble in a way that violates NCAA rules and knowingly does it. That's the thing to me.
I don't think anybody, including the two of us on this side of the desk, are trying to say that anything that he did was right. We're getting into it's pretty easy to acknowledge that what he did was wrong. It's getting into the granular details of, okay, how wrong was it, and what is the proper punishment for it?
Do you want betting at all is the thing. That's the hard line.
We're at an inflection point, right?
Yeah.
This is a time where the NCAA can make an example of somebody to really nip something in the bud. But if you give lenience here, you're opening up a whole can of worms for future incidents, which will happen. Not if, will.
Yeah.
And
Is
so
probably already happening.
correct.
Yeah.
And so do you really want to establish a precedent where we'll slap you on the wrist with a couple of games, but you're eligible to play then what? Where do we go from there? It's like if you give a mouse a cookie.
Yeah.
It's going to lead to something down the road that is going to become untenable for the sport and for the organizations. I just don't see how this ends in a positive way for anyone unless Sorsby. Listen, I just think he has to be ineligible. It sucks for him, but actions have consequences, and it's really as simple as that. And if
I
you're
think
tech,
even
I think at some point you got to wake up a little bit here.
Well, and that's I think Brett Yormark with the Big 12 sees this reality. I think that Kirby Hocutt sees this reality. I think probably Joey McGuire sees this reality. I think they would probably prefer, all three of those people would probably prefer for the courts to just handle this and have deemed him ineligible, and then they don't have to be the ones that step in and arbitrate this thing. It looks like they may have to.
If he was ruled ineligible by the courts, would they have to pay him?
I don't think so. I believe, based on the
So if
tweet
anything,
that I saw
Tech
from Cody Campbell,
wants him to be ruled ineligible, so what
are
so
they
they don't have to
doing?
be on the hook.
And here's the difference, right? We are not suggesting that he cannot better himself through this process, right? Like, there's a whole healing step to this. This was an addiction. Thousands of bets is a real addiction over 4 years. And again, if we do the math, over a year, thousands, right? Over a year, if he did 1,000, that's 3 per day. That's every day he wakes up and I'm betting on 3 things. Doesn't matter whether it's football, whether it's, face slapping, which I think you said.
The sad thing is that is par for the course for a lot of kids of that generation that grew up around gambling at your fingertips.
Right.
3 bets a day to some people is like, that's child's play.
No, I know, but you're also throwing money. Like, to know that it's against NCAA regulations, still do it, and still look at the system and go like, well, actually, let's try and find a way around it. That's the part to me. If you want to better yourself through this, accept the consequence of it. Like, you stepped over the line on this. You knowingly did. You got caught.
Yeah, he's got his tail tucked between his legs because he's got millions on the line here, not only from a college perspective, but what it could do to his NFL future. And so basically he's begging for forgiveness here or begging for some sort of leniency to at least salvage some of that. That's it.
Yeah.
Well, and he has to beg for forgiveness. It's not like he can just.
He has no
all
ground
right,
to stand on here.
You caught me.
I mean,
I'll go right off into the sunset. I won't play sports anymore.
He could do that. That is the realm of possibility. And like, hey, you know what? Acknowledging that you have a real problem is accepting that I ruined my own life and I need to find a different direction to go down. Right? Like, that is part of this.
We all only get one life.
No, I'm aware of that.
To ask a 22-year-old kid, because he grew up in a culture where gambling is rampant and thrust in your face every single day if you're a sports fan. I am not absolving this kid of guilt at all. What he did was wrong. Hang on a second. I am not absolving this kid of guilt in any way, shape, or form. But to ask a 22-year-old kid who had this stuff thrust in his face day in and day out throughout his entire sports consciousness to then throw his hands up and say, you know what? You caught me. I did something wrong. I'm going to not play football again for the rest of my life, the thing I've been pursuing since I was 8. He didn't kill somebody.
No, I'm aware of that. But again, sports, of all things, have drawn that hard line across everything. And I understand that sports in general are kind of blurring that line, and I get we kind of get lost in the weeds on that part of it. But there are countless examples, current examples of guys that have been banned from NBA, been banned from just the NBA Pro recently. But the other part of it is this. As much as he might want it, right? There are adults in his life. There are people that can sit him down and sit there and say, hey, man, you've been in rehab for this for about a month. You're about to be re-injected through this process back into the same scenario that got you into this mess in the first place. Because as Jonah was saying, it's like he wants to feel more closer to his team. He's not going to get that urge now. He's putting himself in a highly charged competitive situation and putting himself at risk for falling back on that old habit. And I understand that everyone wants to sit there and act kumbaya and, hey, we can try and find a way through this and all that. But I don't think that's fair to other people that have been through their own addiction processes to sit there and think 2 months is enough and a slap on the wrist by the court is enough to sit there and say he should be back on the field again.
I don't know that there's anybody other than this judge that thinks the 2 games is enough here.
Right.
But what is enough? Like, let's say that he is not allowed to play all season long. Let's say somebody, the Big 12, Texas Tech themselves, somebody steps in and says, we're not playing this game. You're not playing this year. Can he go play in the NFL? Like, is he allowed at any point a road back?
That's kind of the question, because the NCAA, as much as the NCAA is a professional league now, the NFL has viewed the NCAA as its essential minor league. Let's take Pete Rose as an example. Would Major League Baseball have drafted Pete Rose if he was betting on baseball in the minors coming up? Because that is kind of the comp here. It's like the talent might be there, and that's the other side of
We're
this.
talking about radically different eras, too.
I understand
relative
that, but
to
all
the
of it boils
public's
down to
acceptance of gambling.
all of it boils down to talent. Does the NFL feel like his talent is worth this? Because there's always a chance he backslides. There is.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to
And
invest
I don't know
resources.
that he's done enough collegiately to prove to them that he does. It's why this is so for him
Yes.
personally. This season is incredibly important for him to prove that he's worth an NFL team taking a risk on him. And again, I'll be surprised if he actually does end up, despite this injunction. I think there's a long way to go between here and week 0 of the college football season for this kid to actually be on the field come week 3 or what, after
Yeah.
if this suspension actually does happen.